Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the ETL Challenge 2. I am going to not exercise this morning. I'm going to exercise tonight when I get home from work. I am really glad yesterday that I exercised before I went to work rather than when I got home, because when I got home, I had not all of my spaghetti, but most of it, and I was really tired. So anyways, I've been up since about 1. It's actually 3 o'clock now, so I'm putting together some food to take with me today. I wanted to do something because I've got like 3 different squashes on my counter over here, but I'm being lazy and using frozen squash instead, just because I can. It's terrible, but anyway, that's what I'm doing. So I'm making a creamy butternut squash with mushroom recipe from Dr. Furman's website. It actually had lots of comments on it. There were several comments that were like, oh my gosh, this is the best soup ever. There were several that were, this is really bland, I needed to spice it up. And there were several that said way too much nutmeg and cloves, which then there was a reply from Dr. Furman's website saying that they'd reduced that in the recipe, so now that's where it should be. And then there were several that said that it was too thin and that they added cashews to it and totally made it creamy, and that was perfect. So I'm making the soup almost exactly like it calls for, except I'm going to add some beans for creaminess sake and some cashews for creaminess sake. So I'm going to add the cashews because it adds a really nice rich depth of flavor, and I'm going to end up putting greens in this even though it doesn't call for that. And I mean, the fats with the greens are supposed to be really good and all that good stuff. So yes, that's what I'm going to do. But for the most part, this recipe is really close to what it should be. So come on down and I will show you exactly what it is that we're putting together. All right, so first things first, this pot's gonna have a decent amount of liquid in it, but not maybe a ton of liquid, so I wanna put the stuff that I want on the bottom in first. So it calls for 2 chopped onions, and you don't have to chop these very fine because you're gonna blend, this is a blended soup. So I didn't bother to chop these very fine. I don't see any reason to do that. There were quite a few people that said that this was a really difficult recipe because there was a lot of prep work and blah, 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 which I could understand that the butternut squash part of it would be way difficult. But yeah, no, this was not hard at all. So if you use frozen butternut squash, this was super easy. So there's that. And then you're supposed to have 6 carrots that are sliced into large slices. I'm actually just gonna use a bag of shredded carrots. I know that's totally cheating, but again, I'm going to blend this and I don't really see that it makes too much difference. So I'm not sure how much 6 carrots would be, but I think that looks just fine. Hopefully I can fit everything in here. Yeah, and then I'm not too worried about the other stuff cooking. So the next thing I guess I'll put in there is the squash. So it calls for 2 butternut squash, peeled and cubed. I don't think that's enough. So I was gonna do 2 of these. But let's get that in there and take a look at it. Yeah, we'll do 2 of those. All right. Frozen. Okay, so not a lot left to go in here. Oh, there. Have to get that back. Okay, so on top of that is going to be 2 medium zucchini that have been sliced. I just cut it into large chunks because again, it's going to be blended. I don't see why you would do anything different. And you're supposed to have 5 slices or 5 stalks of celery chunked up, and I just had the insides of celery left, so I just cut that. Okay, that's a really full soup pot, isn't it? Woo! Okay, well that's all the actual ingredients that need to go in here with the exception of the beans and the cashews. I am gonna put the cashews in here, before I cook it, but I'm not going to put the beans in before I cook it. I'm just gonna put the beans in the blender because I don't think that will make any difference whatsoever. So let's get the cashews in there. Just based on, I was going to put 1/4 cup in, but based on how much is there, I'm going to go ahead and use 1/2 cup. So this calls for 2 cups of water and 2 cups of whatever milk you'll use and 1.5 cups of low sodium vegetable broth. So I have 3.5 cups of water. And then I'm going to put my 2 cups of soy milk that I typically use. We almost always have one of these open in the refrigerator. My husband made mashed potatoes for the boys last night for supper, so he used this to make them. Okay, so the only other thing that needs to be added into this are, you're going to add mushrooms, but that's not right now. You don't cook the mushrooms in here right now. You want to add your broth to it. So this is actually going to be 1.5 teaspoons, which is half a tablespoon. And you want to put in 1/4 teaspoon of cloves and nutmeg. So I'm going to sprinkle that on there. I'm going to put this on here. It says to bring this to a boil and reduce and simmer for 30 minutes until the vegetables are tender. And then it says to blend it and then put your mushrooms in it and then cook it for another 30 minutes. I am not using, it says to use 10 ounces of shiitake, crimini, or oyster mushroom stems removed and cut in half. I am actually going to just use 3 packages of enoki mushrooms. There have been several people on there that said that they used button mushrooms, and that would be fine, but my button mushrooms are really kind of scary looking. They're a science experiment in the refrigerator right now, so those aren't going to be used. But my enoki mushrooms should be just fine, but I don't want to cook them. I don't want to blend those, so I definitely want to put those in afterwards. So cook this for 30 minutes, get it blended up, add in some mushrooms. That's about it. So yeah, I'm going to go and put this together, and I will let you know what's going on when I'm in the middle of it or something along those lines. So I'll see you guys soon. Alrighty guys, so I cooked this for about half an hour and then blended it all. It's thin, but it's not like super thin. There is a can of beans in there, and then I'm going to put, I only have 2 packages of enoki mushrooms, but I'm going to put both of those into my soup, and I'm going to cook it for probably just a few minutes. It's not going to need very long. And then I'm planning on serving this with some chopped up baby kale. So I will see you guys for a taste test in just a few minutes. Okay guys, first things first, I wanted to let you know that I tried the banana walnut dressing from yesterday today with a carrot, and it was not very good. And it's not so much that, I think it might have tasted fine yesterday, but it's a lot more tangy today than it was yesterday. So it was really good yesterday. Today, not so much. So maybe make half of that and just use it, all of whatever you're gonna use the first day that you make it. Because it was really good. I would totally recommend it, just maybe not the next day. So anyways, I have my wonderful, delicious bowl of soup. Take a peek. Doesn't it look amazing? So I'm going to take, 2 bowls of soup with me today. And it's gonna have a bunch of kale in it. So it's baby kale, but it's gonna have a bunch of kale in it. So that will give me some greens for the day. I'm not really too worried about not having a salad today. It's not, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I'm going to eat this. We're going to try it first because I haven't tried it yet. It smells really good. And this really was not difficult at all. I could see that if you had to cook it for another 30 minutes after putting the mushrooms in, then it might seem like, oh, this is kind of a lengthy process, but it really wasn't that big a deal. That's very good. I would not call that bland. I would call it mild. So one of the other things you're supposed to put in here with your 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/4 teaspoon cloves is a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So you guys need to dress this up the way that works for you. Whatever kind of spiciness factor you want in here, that's what you need to add. I'm not a big fan. I really like vegetables the way that they are most of the time. And this is very good. I'm quite happy with that. So there's a lot of soup in there. I'm gonna take, I might just eat this bowl now, to be honest with you, because I need to eat something for breakfast anyway. I'm going to take 2 bowls of that with me with some kale. I'm going to take a thing on orange. My husband peeled it for me last night, which is super awesome of him. Yeah, that's it. Soup and an orange, and I have an apple at work. Plenty of food. So yeah, that's it for me for now, guys. I will talk to you again tonight. Alrighty guys, so I am home and I am going to be doing my exercise now. I have had soup 3 times today and it was very good. I did eat my orange, I did not eat my apple. However, I did put a little pinch of salt in the soup. It tasted much better that way, and it couldn't have added more than, like, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 milligrams of sodium. But anyways, so that's what I did the other day, and I think I'm going to skip P2 because that looks like it's going to go up to like maybe 2 miles an hour, and that looks really boring. So I'm either going to do, I think I'll do I'll just go in order. I'll do P3 today. So I am going to push the little program button, which is down here, to be P3, and tell it to start. And it's gonna beep at me before it starts moving. And yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it for me for today. I'm going to go and exercise for a little bit, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.